Spyder's back. I'll try this do a little better for you. Hit it. Spyder, Spyder, here comes Spyder, CFL's red zone. Hit it. In the red zone. Hit it! Can you see it? Curtains down. Spyder's back. One more session before my last session. I don't want to wreck my banner, but I hope it'll survive. Okay, anyway, I think so. That's not good for it, I'll tell you that much. But anyway, I gotta get on my session because it is what it is. Oh my gosh, I almost smashed my amazing, look, lopsided here on the stool. I can't believe this 107 Grey Cup. The presentation of that, the ticket, is laminated in plastic and the nice strap and everything. Grey Cup, you know, logo, Calgary 107 Grey Cup in Calgary. And by the way, Calgary, be proud of your Grey Cup. I heard some, I don't want to, you know, rub this in Mr. Ambrosi's face or the commissioner, but you know, there was, you know, I heard this on some podcasts and heard it in Calgary too, what the commissioner said. And I don't know if this was a statement he said prior to the Calgary Grey Cup, but Rob Peterson on his Facebook show said that he said it, I guess, in Calgary too. In the 107 Grey Cup, that Calgary won't get another Grey Cup until they get a brand new stadium. And by the way, McMahon, to me, for the age of that stadium, and there's very few stadiums that are left that are made out of full concrete, very safe. I mean, for its age, I can't believe how well, you know, that stadium is held up, and it looked good on camera, man. I mean, and the atmosphere in there was incredible. My son, man, said, wouldn't it be great, Dad, to have every CFL game at the McMahon Stadium and the Stampeders play look like this? And I'll get back to what my son said. You know, being a Stampeder season ticket holder now, 2 season ticket, by the way, for over 10 years now, 12 years, I believe now. So anyway, I don't think he should have said that, because there's a lot of other stadiums that, I mean, that's holds close to 37,000, and with there was over 36,000 paid attendance apparently, very close to that. And then you counted the sky boxes, and you count the in the end zone they put in some temporary suites too. I mean, you count all that up, there was over 38 to 40,000 people in that stadium. If you count everybody that was in that stadium, you know, so that was a pretty big Grey Cup. And I know the ticket prices were higher, but they must have had a close to a $15 million gate. I mean, I think the 50-50 was 350,000 or something. So half of that, you know, 375. That's unbelievable. So anyway, I don't think he should have said that, because the stadium is, I was pretty impressed for the age. I mean, I was in the 2009 and then 2000. And now in 2019, and I was more impressed with it now than I was in 2009 when they had the bleachers in. I thought it looked better in camera, and the dress up. By the way, I'll get into the dress up. Randy Ambrosi, I've said this before in my YouTube sessions. Every CFL game, the end zones need to be dressed up with logos. They're home field logos. Like I said, you need to bring in a mandatory dress up home field policy that every CFL team has to apply with. The only one is Edmonton. I mean, Calgary now get their horse at center, which they should. That should be off limits. I mean, if, like I said before, if a naming right partner wants to put the logo beside it, that's okay. But the home team logo got to be at center and in the end zones. And it'd be nice with a backdrop, like I said in Hamilton, have their black backdrop with their in the end zone with their gold Tiger Cat logo look nice, and all the CFL teams should do that. But I'll get back to talking about that again, because I mentioned that before, the poor marketing and branding in the CFL is brutal. And just to get back to Bo Levi Mitchell's special edition session last time, I said in his in the last session as well that, you know, I mentioned something about Randy Ambrosie's state. I was at the fan address, State of the League, and he never mentioned any numbers because he didn't have any numbers, because the numbers were down in TV ratings and down for the year and down in attendance. You know, I guess 9 or 10%. I don't know the exact numbers, but they were down quite significantly. So he never even talked about any of that. And I'll get back to what I also want to add to that later on. But I want to get back to what I did for Bo Levi Mitchell. Okay? And when I met him, I presented him my CFL Red Zone Rule brochure. I want to get back to telling him more about my CFL Red Zone Rule and the optional provision part. Okay? Now, in the special editions for Mr. Bob Young, first and second special editions, I go over in first and second editions. Second one, I go over the full thing with the optional provision part, but they're both worthwhile listening to. You can gather a lot of information because I go over all the full presentation, and then the second time I leave out parts of it and add parts I didn't put in my first edition for the caretaker. So they're both a must read, and also it covers, by the way, both sessions will cover it all, okay, including my optional provision part that I'm about to go over here again. But I also want to go over my CFL Red Zone Rule again in a nutshell. I keep saying in a nutshell. I don't want it to be misconstrued. I want people to fully understand it, including Bo Levi Mitchell and all the CFL players out there, and quarterbacks and defensive backs and, you know, offensive linemen, defensive back, defensive line, all the players, safety, everybody, special teams, everybody, all the CFL fans in Canada, and that are now NFL fans that aren't watching CFL football anymore. You need to know about my CFL Red Zone Rule. All the younger generation fans need to know about my CFL Red Zone Rule. Everybody out there, all the sports fans in Canada need to know about my CFL Red Zone Rule. And like the two Bomber fans says, Spyder, how are you going to get it out there? So I'm going to go over that a little later in my session. But I want to go over my rule again. My CFL Red Zone Rule in a nutshell. When I went over it with Rick Cowell, okay? I was limited to time. Now I'm going to slow it down, and I'm going to just go over it again. When I said my CFL Red Zone Rule is still there, I said, and Rick Cowell said the rule is still there. Well, I really, theoretically it is, but what I should have really said to emphasize it more, what I really meant by that is to say that the CFL, that rule is there now. See, what I mean by that is CFL teams can play exciting 3-down football in the red zone every time in the red zone. So the rule is there. It's in place. I mean, I don't say you can only play 2-down football in the red zone, and if you stop, you got to kick another boring, easy chip shot field goal. No, they can, if the coach wants to say, hey, go for it, you know, we're going for it in 3rd down. But the problem is they only do it majority of the times in the 1-yard line, like in the 2018 Eastern Final. I mean, Ottawa Redblacks on the 2-yard line. Right after that, Hamilton Tigerites on the 2-yard line. Marched down. Both times, especially, the game was in Ottawa, they were booing and booing. They didn't even go for it. They did, you know, the guaranteed 3-point thing, and the fans were booing. They didn't want that. They wanted them basically to use my CFL Red Zone Rule that they don't know about. They were booing. They should have been booing. We want Spyder CFL Red Zone Rule, and by the way, my dream didn't come true for the 107th Grey Cup. They have fans chanting, wouldn't that be something, in the red zone when this was happening at a Grey Cup game, but it can in the future. You know, I got to find a way to get more exposure. If everybody in that stadium in Calgary, the 107th Grey Cup, and the McMahon Stadium knew about my CFL Red Zone Rule, and if this was to occur during the Grey Cup, they would have been booing. We want Spyder CFL Red Zone Rule. That's what my goal is, and that's what my dream is to happen. And I have to work a lot harder to make that happen, because I got to get this out to everybody, like I suggested earlier in my session, who the people I need to get this to, and the owners, all the owners, not just Bob Young, and all the coaches and all the GMs and all the CFL players and all the CFL fans and all the sports fans, like I said, and all the NFL only fans in Canada. I got to get them to all. I'm repeating myself, but it's important. It's so important that I get them. Everybody finds out, and I got to come up with a plan to do that, which I'll touch on a little later. But getting back to my rules, so this is the problem. On the 5, the 4, the 3, and the 2, they don't go for, okay, on third down, the red zone, score a touchdown. So that's why my CFL red zone rule is so powerful, okay, of a rule, and so innovative. But it's there. You could say it's bold, but it's really not bold because it's there. My CFL red zone rule is there. It's staring the CFL right in the face. Every CFL game, it's there. It happens practically every game. 99% of the games it happens. So basically, and 90% of the time, by the way, in the red zone, they don't go for it. They only go for the 1 yard line. So they don't go for a touchdown and third down, which my CFL red zone rule enforces them to play exciting 3-down football in the red zone to score touchdown. That's what it does. It's an enforcement rule. So when a CFL team's on the 20 or inside the 20 in the red zone, if they need the third down to score touchdown, okay, so there won't be any more second down stop, okay, because my CFL red zone rule will be an enforcement rule that they have to use a third down to score a touchdown in the red zone if needed. And, by the way, if they maintain possession of the ball and aren't forced outside the red zone, okay, on third down, and don't score a touchdown in the red zone on third down, use my Spyder CFL red zone rule, my Spyder super exciting, tailor-made for CFL 3-down football, naturally tailor-made for CFL 3-down football, Spyder CFL red zone rule, then they get rewarded for getting in the red zone and staying in the red zone with my enforcement Spyder CFL red zone rule, okay, my Spyder CFL red zone kick from the 35 add to 7, that'd be 42, so it'd be a lot more challenging kick, which would add even more drama. But defensively, not only offensively, the drama, you imagine excitement, entertainment, run my Spyder CFL red zone rule, you imagine the drama as well defensively in the red zone, because part of my CFL red zone rule, because I went over the attachment, my CFL red zone rule kick, but if a defensive team stops a CFL team on offense in the red zone, use my Spyder CFL red zone rule, my super exciting Spyder CFL red zone rule on third down, and they force them outside the red zone on third down, first of all preventing if they stop them on third down in the red zone, they prevent a touchdown from being scored, which is really big, but even bigger of a defensive play if they force them outside the red zone. Can you imagine that on third down, using my Spyder CFL red zone rule, and it will prevent them getting my Spyder CFL red zone rule kick, okay, for 3 points. Can you imagine that, how the drama defensively, not only offensively. So my CFL red zone rule is, like Steve Armitage says, it's a winner, and it does it all. And by the way, the CFL has to realize they're selling entertainment and excitement. That's exactly what Steve Armitage, who's done 27 Grey Cups, who's done the Olympics, he's an icon, he's a legend. And someone as prominent in that in sports as Steve Armitage, give my CFL red zone rule my stamp of approval and say, by the way, when he was talking about the CFL needs to, they have to change, and they realize that they're selling entertainment and excitement, right? And that's what Steve Armitage says, exactly what Spyder's my CFL red zone rule will do. It will sell entertainment and excitement, and Steve Armitage said it will make our 3-down game a lot more attractive, a lot more appealing brand of CFL 3-down football, okay, and a lot more entertaining, a lot more exciting brand of CFL 3-down football, okay, to watch and to be part of. Okay, that's it in a nutshell. I couldn't do it any better than that. I mean, I really try to explain it. I mean, I really try to sell it here. I went over it and several times, repeated myself, because I want you to understand this in full. That's how easy it is. And by the way, Mr. Bo Levi Mitchell, there's a optional provision part, which is an optional provision part, by the way. It's an option to my rule. And I'm going to read it to you right now. So it makes it 100% foolproof, okay? And by the way, if you feel it's needed. I like it's playing out on their own, but it could be an interesting part to be added. Spyder's optional provision part, this is to my second version of opposed new CFL red zone rule, because I had 2 versions, and I focused mainly just I actually just focused on my second version of my proposed new CFL Red Zone rule, which I presented to the CFL and the Commission in 2018. My full presentation you can find on my Facebook page, okay? Everybody can read it, okay? My Facebook page. Here's the optional provision part to my second version of my proposed new CFL Red Zone rule. If a CFL team in the last 10 seconds of the game has the ball in the red zone and stays in the red zone on first, second, and third down, using my second version of my proposed new CFL Red Zone rule, they would be able to opt to kick my CFL Red Zone rule kick from the 35-yard line for 3 points. And if you add the 7, it would be from the 42. For 3 points to win the game or to tie the game and force it into overtime. The CFL could have it applied to the last 10 seconds of both halves of the game, or have it apply to only the last 10 seconds of the game. Okay, so it would be their choice. Okay, all right, on that. And also their choice whether or not the optional provision part should be made official and made part of my CFL Red Zone rule. Okay, with my CFL Red Zone rule kick. Okay, so it could be 3 parts to it. Okay. And the optional provision part of my second version of my proposed new CFL Red Zone rule would not apply to the current CFL overtime format because there is no clock. Okay, there it is. There's my diagram. Okay, my Spyder CFL Red Zone rule diagram. So that's it, Mr. Bo Levi Mitchell and CFL fans and all the NFL only fans in Canada and all the younger generation fans and all the sports fans in general in Canada. That's my Spyder CFL Red Zone rule in a nutshell. Now you can find, and my banner, I went over that last time, but you can find my full presentation, okay? My full presentation on my Spyder CFL Red Zone rule Facebook page. Also, my 10 super features and benefits. If you scroll down, you can read them. And advantages of my Spyder CFL Red Zone rule, which is unbelievable. And also, you know, got to remember, it's Spyder CFL Red Zone rule right here. Okay, complemented by the new compatible CFL Red Zone kick, my Spyder CFL Red Zone kick. And there's your optional provision part. So there it is in a nutshell. Okay, so now I'm going to get the other part of my session. Okay, see if I missed anything here. Okay, I went over that. All right, how to get my CFL Red Zone rule out there. Let's just talk about that a bit. Okay, the two Bomber fans. So Spyder, how are you going to do it? Okay, well, I thought about, and I haven't talked to my son about this because I didn't do it at the Randy Ambrosie's State of Address for the fans. You know, in the 107th grade cup in Calgary, I was going to give some 500, well, about 400 people get in there in that theater for his address to the fans, and I was thinking about giving brochures. I had them out to. I wouldn't be able to give them all, but maybe 25, 30 or so, highlight, and maybe people would have been left out, but there's always some ignorant person because of Let's Talk CFL. There's a person there, and Atlantic Schooner said a couple, really, remember, I went over that in the session, how rude they are, and they try to bash and everything, but you know what, I made a mistake because the majority of the people aren't like this. There are only a few people like that, and they would bash everything. They're just ignorant, rude people. And I don't want any part of these people. But just by all the 350 plus I surveyed, they were all blown away by my CFL Red Zone rule. And these 2 Bomber fans as well said, how do you get it out there, Spyder? Well, Randy Ambrosie could have, you know, not put a gag order in after I made my presentation. He should have told all the CFL fans and all the sports fans and all the NFL only fans, younger generation fans in Canada, everybody about my CFL Red Zone rule, including the players and the owners, which he hid it from. He said he presented to the owners, but that's not true because Bob Young didn't know anything about it. That's why I did a special edition. So, I'm not a fan of Randy Ambrosie, and I don't trust him. He wasn't honest with me what he said he was going to do with my CFL Red Zone rule, and really, review it and really evaluate it and use Jeff Hunt's pros and cons theory before they made a decision. He never did any of that. He never looked at it and assessed it properly, so there's no possible way. He was on the road. He gets back, his Randy road trip in February, gets back 2 days, and I get an email, which you can find in my third session, part 3, the verdict and their decision. You should listen to that. It's a really good part, and really is. So anyway, you'll find out more about that, what happened, what transpired. Anyway, so, you know, so maybe I should have got brochures out, and maybe someone would have got up, or maybe I should have had my son come up. So why didn't you tell the CFL fans and all the sports fans in Canada what my dad Spyder CFL Reds Arm Mole? Why didn't you? Why are you hiding it? Why aren't you telling people about it so they know about it? And that's, you know, that's Randy Ambrosie, and that's wrong. Because I know Mark Cohen would have. Mark Cohen was really interested in my CFL Reds Arm Mole. If he would have been commissioner, it would be made part of a CFL 3-down game. And it should be made part of a CFL 3-down game. And to do it in a pre-season, like I said last time, would be actually, it deserves more than that. You want to do a splash, my CFL Reds Arm Mole, it's needed right now in our game. You want to sell 3-down football, you want to sell the CFL in our game, my Spyder CFL Reds Arm Mole is needed right now to be made part of our CFL 3-down game, and it would sell a 3-down game big time. And for all the reasons I went over on my 10 super features and benefits, you find that on my Facebook page, okay, right here. But anyway, so what I need to do, I need to do a blitz, okay? I need to do a blitz. I need to do a radio blitz. I'm working on a short version of my song with a radio blitz. I'm going to hit all the CFL cities. I'm going to do that probably March, April, and early May. So that's what I'm doing right now. I don't think I'll do it now. I was on Jamie and I in the Green Zone a couple times on my CFL Red Zone Mole, one for sure, and he was really excited about it. He wanted to know more about it, and I couldn't really tell him at that time. But I need maybe to go back to Mr. Vanstone, and maybe he could do an article on it, or have him on his podcast. I need to get coverage. I need to get on national TV. I need to get on with I know Steve Murphy at CTV, I believe I could get on there, but I need to get on national TV. I need to find a way, social media to get it out to all of you that need to know about my CFL Reds Arm Mole. I need to have it come up with a plan. I need to come up with a much better plan than I have, because there's no way at a CFL game, with nobody knowing about it, a few people know about my CFL Reds Arm Mole, that they're going to chant loud in the red zone, which is my goal. We want Spyder CFL Reds Arm Mole. When there's another boring, distasteful 2-down stop in the red zone, resulting in another like boring, predictable, non-eventful, easy chip shot field goal in the red zone or slightly outside, depending on when the second down stop is made in the red zone. So, you know, this is what has to happen, and I need to go to work on it. So I need a plan. I need a big-time plan. And I need to get aggressive on it. Very, very aggressive on it. Okay. Here's a couple things I want to talk about before I leave you. Jim Larson, chairman of the board, CFL Board of Governors, stepping down. By the way, he was the one that was who inspired, sorry, I meant to say, encouraged the Board of Governors to hire Ambrosie as the commissioner of the CFL. I didn't hear, like I said in my last session, a lot of good things about Randy Ambrosie, and this, by the way, this 2.0 is going to get worse, because, like Dave Dickinson said, there's going to be more global players, 18 more, and then another 27 on the practice roster, 18 more in the active roster. It's going to take away, if they start, more American positions, by the way, starting positions, not the Canadian starting guaranteed positions. They won't be touching. Dave Dickinson said that is wrong. It needs to be a wild card. So Keon Raymond, I hope you become the president of the Canadian Players Association. That needs to be changed. The NFL window is brutal, and it's being held up now because the NFL Players Association believes that if there's a CFL contract in place, they should have to honor the contract. Imagine if it's Bro Levi Mitchell or any quarterback that signs a 3-year, they can get out just like any player, CFL player, rookies, everybody can get out of their contracts next year and go to try for the NFL, because the NFL window. And Randy Ambrosie, and you weren't truthful when you said, oh, the GMs or owners want this. That's not true. They didn't want this. Pop forced somebody's hand, and then he was fired. That's the reason. And a lot of majority GMs didn't want this last time, but I found out synoptically the real truth. The players, Canadian players, just like the American players, the Canadian players want to go to the NFL as well as the American players every year. They want it. They want it. and Brosy. You're not telling the truth because you're in bed with the Canadian Players Association. I'm sorry. You are. Okay, quickly, I want to talk about the Atlantic Schooners. And, oh, by the way, quickly on Larson. Okay, Jim Larson and Randy Brosy, they discussed 4-down football. Imagine that, changing our 3-down to 4-down. Imagine that. A whole U.S. deal, okay, with a partnership like making CFL a farm league, no yard off the ball. Can you imagine that? And that's why my CFL Red Zone rule is needed, and it preserves that CFL 3-down game. Do you hear? I gotta get my CFL Red Zone rule out there. I gotta get it out there. By the way, I'm gonna next time I'm gonna be on my number 40 talking about, or 41, I forget which one, on the Atlantic Schooners situation where there's a vote coming up on December 10th. I'll be back for that session. But by the way, okay, can you imagine that, what they want to do our game, Randy Brosing and Jim Larson, okay? He's stepping down. Well, we need a real commissioner, okay, that's going to bring in my CFL Red Zone rule, that's going to allow the best available players to start and play in the CFL. Spyder's combo, that's what we need to sell a CFL 3-down game. You know how big our CFL 3-down game, like my son said, at the Grey Cup, 107th Grey Cup in Calgary, that's the way every CFL stadium should look, full, with logos at center. Dress it up, market your product with my Spyder CFL Red Zone rule, and with the best available players allowed to start and play at every position. The coaches to decide, the GMs who start and plays, okay, in the CFL, not the Canadian Players Association, sorry, okay, not that body. The owners have to decide, and the GMs, coaches who starts and plays in the CFL, and we need Spyder CFL Red Zone rule. Okay, and then we'd have a product to sell. The CFL would be a much bigger league, and they would start they will blossom, and would be back. The CFL would be huge. Our 3-down game would be huge, especially with my Spyder CFL Red Zone rule. Signing off. Take care. All the best. Spyder, Spyder. Here comes Spyder. All those zingers. What? Not working. There you go. Take care.